All right, we are on air. Happy 27th of July. This is a meeting to talk about community outreach for Backdrop CMS. As you may have noticed, we had a newsletter go out this morning that was highlighting Jeff as our newest community spotlight, so thanks, Tom, for writing that. There was also a call in there that was kind of requesting anyone in the general community to be able to add names to the list of people we want to talk about, as well as a call for other people to write community spotlights if they're interested in doing that. I'm not sure we'll get any nibbles from that, but I would love it if we did. I mean, just having people know that they can engage and recommend people for the community spotlight, I think is worthwhile.
Sorry.
No problem. So next on our newsletter schedule, we're currently working out a fiscal agreement with the Software Freedom Conservancy. I've pinged them again today to see. It seems like they've got a lot going on over there, and every week I have to send them an email and be like, what's going on? What do we need to do? And they're like, nothing, we're working on it. And then the next week I have to do it again. So I'm hoping that we'll have that agreement in place in 1 month. If we have it in place in a month, then our next newsletter will be about the agreement between Backdrop and the Software Freedom Conservancy, and hopefully with a call to support either Backdrop through the Software Freedom Conservancy or to support the Conservancy directly. And I think that would be a great kind of way to like announce the partnership and have a call for action for us to help seed our support bucket. Right now, we're doing fine. Our hosting doesn't cost very much. We've got t-shirts and hoodies we can distribute at various events. We don't have a lot of other expenses, but we have been talking about doing things like an ad campaign, and we don't really have enough money to do anything reasonable on Google. So it would be good if we could get some more money in our bank account so that we have a little bit more flexibility to do new things and see if they work. So I also wanted to ask if we had other ideas for things we should be emailing people about in the newsletter. We have this content strategy map that Facet created. This is on backdropcms.org, issue 349, that talks about a whole bunch of different kinds of content that we could generate and then possibly distribute in different ways, like on the blog, on YouTube, and the newsletter. And I didn't know if we had anything going on right now that would be good to get on the list for things we might want to email people about. I think having the Software Freedom Conservancy newsletter ready is going to be good, but if that does not happen in the next month, we're going to need another topic to email people about. So if we want to do another community spotlight, we could email people about another one. But I kind of feel like it might be better not to do that right away. If we did something else in between and then a couple months from now send out another community spotlight via newsletter, that would be good. I think we can create them all the time. I don't think we should stop having community spotlights, but having that be the main topic of the newsletter, more spread out, I think would be good. So that let people forget we have it and then remind them again. Don't just keep telling them stuff they already know. So I don't know, Tom, if you have any ideas about things we should be throwing in the newsletter.
Well, today I was going through looking at the content strategy map and some of the ideas there. And since, the community spotlight, like you said, you don't want to be hammering it all the time. There are a few on here that I would like to write an article about, but I don't necessarily know all the answers of, I couldn't write it off the top of my head. So I would need, either you.
What are those topics that you're particularly interested
in? One that I thought great ways to contribute to Backdrop as a beginner would be one that I could write, but then again, because I am a beginner, at the same time, I would need to lean on somebody else to say, yes, that is a way that a beginner could contribute, or no, don't go there.
Yep.
So I might be hitting you. I thought that was a good one. And this falls under the rookie devs column. And the other one was why open source projects are valuable for new developers. At least with those two, I could use some of my own insight and not rely totally on somebody else.
Those are both fantastic topics. And if you want to take a stab at either or both of them, I would love to do a first review.
Okay.
So I don't know if you just want to write it directly in the blog. I know you're pretty comfortable doing that, but anywhere else too. Yeah, I'm happy to steer with like first-time contributor stuff. We could also ping Klonos and get him to review that. He probably doesn't have time to write stuff like that right now, but I'm sure he'd love to read it and give you feedback too. And as a beginner developer, he probably has a lot more insight into things that you can do as a beginner that I might be like, of course you can do that. And Klonos would be like, don't try that. That's ridiculous. Do it this way instead.
Sure. That just seemed like a good way to as an outreach to the community and involve others who aren't currently in the community, who might be standing on the edges saying, I'd like to do something as a contributor. That seemed like an easy one.
Yeah.
And something different.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said just something different.
And I also think like why open source software is valuable to new developers, that would have reached like beyond our audience too. Like we're like, how to contribute is like, okay, that's specifically targeted to people who are interested in Backdrop, probably people are already using Backdrop, so that's kind of a small audience. But like open software being valuable, that's like valuable to anyone in Drupal or anyone in WordPress or anyone in any open source software field. And I think that would be kind of a good kind of outreach sort of thing, not just like outreach to people that we already know we have and are interested, but outreach to people who we might not know we exist before we do that.
Well, so, that might be one that we could possibly identify some people outside of Backdrop who are working in open source projects to also be quoted or be part of the interview process. So it covers a wider audience, like you said, but also might be interested to a wider audience.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love it. I love both those ideas. And I think like the why open source software thing might also be a great candidate for a newsletter too. Because I think a lot of people who are signed up for the newsletter right now aren't necessarily Backdroppers yet. But that could be really valuable to them too, especially if some of them are more beginner developers too.
Perfect. Well, why don't we go with that one then? And I'll just hold off on the great ways to contribute to Backdrop as a beginner for a later one. I'm good with that.
And then let's see, I love that. I also had an idea about videos. So I was reading over this list this morning and I was like, okay, we have this section for videos and we haven't been creating videos lately. It would be great if we get a whole bunch of super short videos up there just demonstrating little things about Backdrop. And then I was thinking like, if there was a way that we create, I don't know, even just like a 2-minute video and then write a blog post around it, even if it was kind of a short one that's like, here's what you need to know in order to build a layout on a node page, or just something that's super short and sweet like that. That could be something that would be great for Twitter. It would be great for the blog. It would be like, we could start kind of a how-to tag. We already have one, but something on the blog where it's just a little more kind of training focused rather than just kind of news focused. And I think that if we kind of lower the requirement for the videos that we want, so rather than having to be like, here's a whole training on like how to set up Backdrop with Drush, we just made it like 2-minute snippets. I think we get a whole bunch more people feeling encouraged to do those. Like just in your day-to-day, you're like, oh, I'm building this thing. Hey, this is kind of cool. I'm just going to do a little screencast. And then ta-da, all of a sudden you have something shareable that could be valuable to other people.
So would that be on the YouTube channel?
Yeah, we can. So the way I would like to do it is have everybody post the video as themselves and then have Backdrop, like have it added to our channel is what it's called. Yeah. And so that way we can showcase the people who are creating the videos and not just have it all be like from Backdrop all the time.
Okay. I do that a lot with the teachers that we have and the editors that we have, because I don't want to drive and necessarily do screen shares all the time. So I've done a lot of those they're just trying to get them over a little bump that they have. Yeah. So I've got the software to do it, and we do it all the time here.
I use a software called Jing that has like a 5-minute limit on it. And I use it all the time as like one of my clients or somebody using the site I'm building is having trouble with something. I'll just do a really quick video and be like, this is how I do it, and then post it. And it's sometimes just worth a million words to just show, like, click here and then edit this and then click here. And then they're like, oh, that's not what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I think just having like little tiny snippets like that of Backdrop would be really valuable. And then just a little caption of like what it is you're doing and before and after or something.
I think we use Camtasia here, and
Okay.
just because we have it on our computers and
Yeah.
it's already linked up to our accounts. So
Thought I had Camtasia, but I don't seem to have it. I think I've used it in the past. It's probably my last computer.
Is there a issue regarding the videos out there?
Yes, sorry.
GitHub?
That is issue number 130 in the Backdrop CMS.org queue.
Okay. Because that might be a good place to start listing topics as well.
Yeah, and I think
okay.
also, like, I'm not sure how we are going to get this documented, but if we can talk to people about, like, hey, I really want to know how X is done, and then make a video about how X is done, like, that might be a great place to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I just, Olaf caught a problem, I think it was Olaf, with the instructions in the Quick Start Guide about how to do a layout for a particular node type, where on the details page it was correct, on the main page it wasn't. And I was like, man, if we had a video, it would be so much easier to understand rather than like type this thing into this field. Like, it's just hard to describe that. And so as I was doing it yesterday, I'm like, oh, I should just make a video. But then I realized I was in the middle of like 8 other things and I didn't do it. But maybe I'll do that today, because that would also be something that if we can do that video, we could embed it into the Quick Start Guide. And I think that might also be super useful for people too. So it would show up on our channel and it could be in our Quick Start Guide for reference long term. We just have to kind of, if we make any significant changes, like add an thing.
Sure.
Remember.
And the Quick Start Guide could be the outline in and of itself of what needs to be done. As well as, I like the idea of eliciting feedback from the community of questions that they have, and then somebody picks it and just does a quick video about it. That would be excellent. So, okay, I think that's fantastic. I think in the short term, it's going to be hard to like capture that, like questions people have. But what I'm going to try and do, and I don't know if you're around enough for this, but if you're in the Backdrop issues queue and somebody asks a question about how to do something, go and quickly write that down. Like, this wasn't clear, and that like we should make a video about it. And we'll probably get a lot of things that are kind of obscure, but we might start getting some things that's like, oh, there's like 8 people who've asked the same question about how to create layouts on a node type page or something, and then that'll be an obvious candidate for a video. Sure. Well, that's a good idea. Yeah, they come across every once in a while, and like you said, that would be if I'm looking at it from the perspective of, what would make a good video, and one pops up, it's like, oh, okay, let's go ahead and do that. And it doesn't take long. I mean, you're talking 10, 15 minutes at the most. Yep. Great. Yay, videos. Yeah. Right, the next thing on our agenda is events. There is an event coming up, not this coming weekend, but the next weekend, Drupal Camp LA, that I submitted a Backdrop session for, and it was accepted. So yay! We're going to be, I don't know that I've told Nate yet, but we're going to be going to Drupal Camp LA to give a talk. I think the camp is just Saturday, Sunday, so it'll be just over the weekend. So we get to be here for next week's meeting too, which is even better. Excellent. Was it last year or was it 2 years ago? That's where we met the folks from PASA Interactive. So I'm looking forward to seeing them in person again. I guess they were at that camp last year. It's always good to show up on somebody's home turf and be like, yeah, we have friends here. So that'll be good. I get to show off everybody the difference between Backdrop a year ago and Backdrop now, which is always fun. People are like, oh, it's still improving. We're like, yes, that's the point. So let's see. That's all I have. Do you have anything else you want to talk about in terms of outreach? No, I think we covered quite a bit today. Okay. Well, thanks for your time, and thanks for those of you who are watching the video. And we will meet again in about 40 minutes to talk about current development tasks for Backdrop CMS. Happy Thursday. See ya.